All right, blue. Arwen's Gift. 1 blue, 3 colorless, sorcery. This spell costs 1 less to cast if you control 2 or more legendary creatures. You can also scry 2, then draw 2 cards. So, sorcery speed. I gave it a C. 4 mana.
Gave it a C. Yeah. I gave it a C also. Sorry to interrupt you there, but
Oh, no, you're fine.
So a couple of things. One, blue likes to scry, so this is again blue card doing blue things for this set. The scry 2 is great. Draw 2 cards is always really powerful. It bugs me a little bit that it's 4 mana, but you think about a lot of the times where you're going to want to play this is going to be late game. But yeah, it's a bummer that it's a sorcery because you got to cast it on your turn then, right? You can't wait and cast it at the end of the Oppo turn, which would really have made it amazing. I think I might be undervaluing it. I know that a lot of the really good players I watch value scry and card draw very high, but I'm sticking with C for now. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I the blue set, just to kind of mention, has a lot of scry in this. So, so as we see more value come, relevant when it's combined with that scry, y'all will see a little bit more of that later. But yeah, I get that other streamers value this a little higher, maybe because of the scry 2, then draw 2 cards. I mean that's pretty dope. But at the same time, for me, it's sorcery speed. I would love to be casting this on my opponent's turn, not my turn. So
yeah,
that's why I gave it a C. But
this is a common, right? So giving a common a C is not crazy. I don't know, man. We might be undervaluing this one. This is the only one I'm kind of questioning myself, but we'll see. Yeah, good point, John Ray. Scry and card draw tend to have multiplied value and constructed, so as a draft card, it's just moderate with minor upsides. Yeah, which is, that's a C.
Sounds good. So the bath song, man, this makes me want to have a bath. Hey, is
that what I smelled?
Do y'all, okay, we just got to go there. What kind of baths do y'all take? Do y'all take normal baths, or do you do the shower bath shower?
I'm not neurotic, so I don't shower bath shower.
After watching Cowboy Bebop, oh my gosh, shower bath shower all the way. When I take a bath, that is.
My water bill's too high to do that.
Because, you get in the shower, you clean yourself off, get all that dirt off, you exfoliate a little bit, and then you get into the bath, you relax, you exfoliate a little bit more because everything's soaking, and then you get out and you rinse all the bubbles off, and yeah, you smell really good at the end.
Yeah, I'm an old man who every day resembles a silverback gorilla more and more, so exfoliation's not at the top of my list.
Yeah, but this silverback gorilla is the cock of the walk, after shower bath shower.
Okay, all right. No, hey man, whatever floats your bath boat there. All right, back to Magic. So, and do you sing while you're in the bath? Yeah. All right. So the bath song.
1 blue, 3 colorless. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card for phase 1 and 2. So it's a draw 2, then discard. So it's kind of like a looter, but you're getting 2 cards out of it. Then phase 3, shuffle any number of target cards from your graveyard into your library, and then add 2 blue mana. I gave it a B because, and I could possibly do a B- on this because it's a 4 mana, but it's allowing me to draw 2, then discard. And then at the end of on phase 3, I didn't really lose anything because I get to shuffle any number back into my library and add some mana. So it ramps.
Yeah, and I know again some MTG technicians that are quite excited about this card. I gave it a C originally. I think you're talking me up to a C+, but I'm not typically a big blue card player. In constructed anyway, and So I might be undervaluing this. Like the only thing that's kind of got me a little hesitant is the whole, okay, I don't lose cards, but they go into my library. Um, so who knows if I'll ever get them back? You know, you know what I'm saying? Like, I
If you'll
just,
live long enough, yeah.
well, yeah, and I don't love self mill without a lot of really good graveyard recursion. But this isn't exactly mill because you're getting to choose the card, aren't you? So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, this is probably better than I'm giving it credit for. I'm going to stick with my C plus for now, but I got you down for B.
All right, so Bewitching Leechcraft. One blue, one colorless enchantment aura, and enchants a creature. And then when this enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature. Enchanted creature has, if this creature would untap during your untap step, remove a +1/+1 counter from it instead. If you do, untap it. So I gave this a C just because it's okay interaction, and if they're untapping it, then they're removing a 1/1 counter. Um, so it's shrinking in size. But yeah, I'm going to stay with C on this.
I also gave it a C. Genre brought up a great point too, which is on the Bath Song. Anything you've already cast that's already in your graveyard, you could choose to shuffle back into your library.
Yes, and anything that was there already, you know. So yeah, if you cast this mid combat, I mean mid game, you know, you're getting, you know, anything you want back. So that's shuffled back into your library. So yeah.
If these games end up going really long, which can happen in a sort of middling set, this gets more valuable, right? But I just wonder, like we were talking, just because it gets shuffled into my library, do I ever see that card again? I don't know. But it's probably pretty smart. Back to Bewitching Leechcraft. Yeah, I gave it a C. Um, you know, it could be pretty useful, but it also might not be. Like if I'm playing against an opponent where they've got an easy way to put counters on things, um, they could undo this pretty easily, and it doesn't have a whole lot of value. I don't know. It is kind of nice that at a minimum it removes a +1/+1 counter from something, I guess. But yeah, it's kind of it's a C. You know, I might draft it, and I might or might not play it.
So Bill Fernie, Bree Swindler. It's a 1 blue, 1 colorless legendary creature, human rogue. That's a 2/1. And when this becomes blocked, we get to choose. We can either create a treasure token, or the target opponent gains control of target horse you control. If they do, remove Bill Fernie from combat and create 3 treasure tokens.
Don't touch my pony, you filthy swindler. This is the one that wants to take Bill the pony, right? Because there's not a lot of horses in the set. There's a few.
I mean, I gave it a C.
Yeah, I did. I gave it a C plus actually, because I like the fact that I can get a treasure token out of it. I can't imagine a case. I don't know where I would allow the second effect there, right? But a 2-mana 2/1 is kind of standard, you know, C, and the fact that I could also create a treasure token if they block it, I gave it a C plus. You gave it a C?
Yeah, I gave it a C.
Okay.
Because usually, if they're blocking it, they're gonna kill it.
Yeah, but I mean, it leaves behind a treasure token, so it gives me mana, so it's better than just a plain old 2/1.
So Birthday Escape. 1 blue, draw a card, sorcery, draw a card, the ring tempts you. I gave this a C. I'm kind of thinking C plus because of the whole ring temp. But I don't know. Maybe a C. Maybe yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I think a C.
I gave it a C also, because card draw, you know, like Jean-Ray pointed out earlier, it just replaces itself, right? Play a card to get a card. The ring temptation's kind of interesting. The fact that it's sorcery speed is sort of poodoo. So it's not any better than a C. It might even be a C minus for me.
Yeah, and the ring can only tempt you so often, so.
Yep.
Okay, so Born Upon a Wind, 1 blue, 1 colorless. It's an instant. You may cast spells this turn as though they had flash. Draw a card. So I gave this a C plus because as seeing the potential of blue with this, I mean, you could cast this on their turn and flash out pretty much everything.
If you got the mana.
If you got the mana and draw a card. So it's not I would say game breaker. But I gave it a C plus. Like, I'd be happy to have this in my deck.
And as I shared earlier, I don't normally play a lot of blue because I'm not a sadist. I think people that play blue on a regular basis are bad people because I hate playing against it. I was harsh on this card. I only gave it a D. I think in the right situation, it could be phenomenal. But you need to have quite a bit of mana, right? And your other cards ready to go for this to really come off. I think when it pops off, it could be great, but I could see a bunch of times when it's kind of meh sitting there in my hand and it's just card draw. Sean Ray, people that play blue just want to play Magic by themselves. Yes, sir. When I'm doing my dailies and I go up against blue, I may or may not concede because I want to play Magic. I don't want to sit there and just puddle around while they play cards. Yeah, I totally agree. So I was pretty harsh on this one. Maybe I'm wrong. Especially it's sitting there as a rare. Like situationally, I think it could be great, but that's why for me it's a D because it's only very situational where I think it's really good. Because I don't know. And if I'm reading this right, you may cast spells. It's only this turn as though they had flash. So I need to have the spells in hand and the mana, and I need to leave that mana open going into the opponent's turn. I don't know, man. We'll see how this one comes out.
That's why I gave it a C plus. I may change it later to lower it, but I don't know. The 2 mana draw card that usually has me at a C, sometimes C minus. But for me, it just has the upside of the potential of doing something either great or you could just pump out a lot of weenie stuff and not be that great, but whatever.
Yeah, maybe. And you know what? I think some of the MTG brainiacs out there will probably come up with just diabolical plays where this really is something else. But again, that's just the D category for me. Good situationally.
Sounds good. Okay, so Captain of Umbar. 1 blue, 2 colorless. Creature human pirate. Draw a card, then discard a card for 1 colorless mana, and you tap it. So draw a card, then discard a card. So it's a looter, and it's a 2/3 human pirate. So I gave it a C. I could give this a C plus because of the looting effect. I think I'm going to give it a C plus.
I didn't give it a C plus, but I know what you mean, right? Like at the end of every opponent turn, and you didn't have to block with this thing. You tap it down, you draw another, card, and if you're sitting there, if you've been flooded, you got a bunch of land in your hand, then this seems awfully nice. I left it at a C. I don't love that it's a 2/3 instead of like a 3/2. But hey, for a common, it's got some interesting capability there. So I get you on the C plus. I'm leaving mine at a C, but you may be right.
So, Council's Deliberation. 1 blue, 1 colorless. Instant, draw a card. Whenever you scry, if you control an island, you may exile Council's Deliberation from your graveyard. If you do, draw a card. So, I gave it a B minus because again, I kind of like things where we draw cards, and with blue, you see the common cast to draw, but this has a lot of upside, I believe, because you're going to control an island. So if you have more than one of these, that's awesome.
Could be pretty interesting, right? I've got it sitting at a C. Again, maybe I'm undervaluing a little bit, but yeah, you get double card draw eventually. Blue does want to scry a lot, so there's a decent chance if you're in blue. Obviously, you'll have an island, but you're gonna trigger the second card draw.
Mm-hmm.
This also synergizes with that white card, the 4/3 that we kind of
Oh
said was a
yes.
dud, right? Like, so this gives you your second card draw. There's a lot of blue cards that do that. So that's why when we were staring at that card, I was like, if I'm playing blue white, then this is interesting because I'm going to get that extra card draw pretty often. So, yeah, I gave it a C, but I get you on the B minus. It's probably a little better than I'm giving it credit for.
So, Deceive the Messenger is next. 1 blue mana. Instant target creature gets -3, -0 until end of turn. And it also amass orcs 1. I gave it a C. Yeah, I'm going to stay with C on this one.
Yeah, I also rated this one a C. I'm going to be really interested to see how the amass works out, because a lot of times when I've been reading the card, I'm picturing I don't have any orc army creature tokens on board, so I'm creating one fresh, in this case a 1/1. But it may get interesting if I've already got one on board, and every time one of these things comes in, it's just pumping that up,
Oh, yeah.
which is going to happen, right?
Oh,
In
it's
some
going to
games,
happen.
it's going to happen. That makes the Amass Orcs synergy way more interesting. But for now, I'm with you on the C, especially because like the -3, -0 is just until end of turn. Although, you know what? I guess if you flash this in after opponent has declared attacks, well, like your 1/1's not going to be able to block because you've probably. I got to think about that. If they declare attackers, but you haven't declared blockers yet, can you then cast this?
Yeah, you can cast it as once they declare attackers.
Yeah.
You can cast that.
You can cast it, right? So not only can I nerf one of their attackers, but I can also create a 1/1 blocker. Worst case.
Exactly, and probably, worst case, snipe something out, or you're just minimizing damage and getting a 1/1 creature down. So
Yeah, at least a chump blocker, right? And it's 1 mana and it's an instant. This might be a little better than I'm giving credit for, but I'm gonna stick to C for now.
yeah, that was my rating as well. So moving on to Dreadful as the Storm. Let me move this down. Okay, so 1 blue, 2 colorless. It's an instant. Target creature has base power and toughness 5/5 until end of turn. The ring tempts you. These kind of cards, I don't. It's okay. It's a C for me.
I gave this one a B minus, but I feel you, right? Like there's another streamer I follow that really doesn't care for these kinds of cards, but I'm thinking of all the cases where I'm going to have weenie cards out there, and there's a lot of those in the deck, and I can again declare blockers and then flash this in, or I've attacked with a weenie and it goes unblocked and I flash this in. I don't know. I think the value is going to happen, and then the ring temptation on top of that's pretty good. So I did the B minus.
Sounds good. All right. So Elrond, Lord of Rivendell, 1 blue, 2 colorless, legendary creature, elf noble. He's a 3/2, and when Elrond or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, scry 1. If this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, the ring tempts you. I gave it a B because the whole, if Elrond or any other creature enters scries, I think this is pretty powerful.
I gave it a B minus because a 3/2 for 3 would just be kind of a C for me. Um, I agree with you that the Scry 1 is nice. Um, Maybe I am undervaluing it a little bit. I don't know. I'm at a B minus, but you said you're at a B.
Yeah, I gave it a B.
Yeah, we're pretty close to each other. I mean, it looks like a great card, and I'm glad, being a legendary creature, that it does have some good value there.
So, Gandalf, Friend of the Schreier. It's a 1 blue, 3 colorless legendary creature. Avatar Wizard. It's a 2/4, which has flash. And you may cast sorcery spells as though they had flash. And whenever the ring tempts you, if you chose a creature other than Gandalf, Friend of the Shire, as your ring bearer, draw a card. I gave it a B minus.
Yeah, I'm close to you. I'm a C plus on that one. There could be really great value in this because of the effects. Like a 2/4 by itself for 4 mana is pretty meh. But the other effects
Exactly.
here, sorceries at flash speed, and then the ring temptation, draw a card, could be great if I can get enough other things that have the ring temptation factor to them. Um, so I'm with you. It's a B or B minus in the right deck. I've got it sitting at a C plus just because of the potential, by itself.
Starting with Glorious Gale, 1 blue, 1 colorless mana, instant counter target creature spell. If it was a legendary spell, the ring tempts you. Since there's a lot of legendaries in this, I still don't give it any higher than a C.
Yeah, I gave it a C also. It's really funny to me because I've heard some folks kind of hate on counterspell magic in limited. I don't know, man. I mean, I think it's maybe better than some people give it a chance for, but yeah, I gave it a C also.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is it's straight up removal of something, but and usually you can hopefully snag something good. But yeah, it's not something you would prioritize, of course. But yeah, C.
Well, especially because this one is only counter target creature spell. It might be a little different for me if I could counter any spell, right? Like if I could counter removal, for example. But C it is.
All right, Goldberry River Daughter, 1 blue, 1 colorless, legendary creature, nymph, 1/3. And it's got a tap counter for move a counter of each kind not on Goldberry River Daughter from another target permanent you control onto Goldberry. Or you can pay 1 blue mana and then tap it, and then move 1 or more counters from Goldberry onto another target permanent you control. If you do, draw a card. I gave it a C, but it could be a C plus.
Yeah, I gave it a C plus. I think it's definitely a build around kind of card. It's one of those things we're gonna have to keep an eye on. 2 mana for a 1/3 by itself isn't bad, right? And to have all this potential upside here, I'm kind of digging it. So yeah, I gave it a C plus, and I wonder in gameplay if it might not even end up being a little better. But you said C for you?
I'm changing mine to C plus.
I talked you into it.
Yeah. All right. So Grey Haven's Navigator, 1 blue, 2 colorless creature elf pilot, which is a 3/2. It's got flash on it, and when it enters a battlefield, scry 1. I gave it a B minus because it's a 3/2 creature and it's got flash on top of it, triggers the whole sky synergy with blue.
You are in my brain. I also gave it a B minus for all the same reasons, man. We're simpatico on that one. I think it's a pretty cool little card. I definitely would draft it.
Moving on to Hithlane Knots, probably mispronouncing that, but anyway, it's 1 blue, 1 colorless, instant, tap target creature, scry 1, draw a card. It's tempo, it scries, it draws. I gave it a C plus.
We are dead on. I also gave it a C plus. It might even be a little better than that, but it's a great card. It's got so much value for 2 mana.
Yeah, I may this is probably one of those that I feel like would probably change to a B minus. But yeah, we'll see. Forces of the Runin, two blue pips, three colorless mana, sorcery. Return up to two target creatures to their owner's hands. Scry one, and the ring tempts you. Let's see, where's mine here? I gave it a C plus. 5 mana, return two. Good tempo play. You got the scry synergy going. You get the ring tempting you. But yeah, I mean, 5 mana for that. I gave it a C plus.
Yeah, I also gave it a C plus. I wish it was an instant instead of a sorcery. But again, a C plus for an uncommon card is still a pretty favorable rating. So we're in agreement.
Let's see. Ireth of the Healing House, 1 blue, 2 colorless legendary creature human cleric. It's a 1/4. And then it's got a tap. It's got two tap things you can do here. You can either untap another target permanent or untap two other target legendary creatures. I gave it a C plus just because I can see this, ramping into my land, and it's got a big booty on it. I mean, if I see this, it's legendary on top of it. It's yeah, I gave it a C plus. I mean, it's got some, I don't know, some nifty mechanics on it.
Yeah, I only gave it a C. You may be right, because of the untap. I mean, it's pretty nice at the end of your turn after you've attacked to be able to untap your stuff, so it can still be a blocker. I mean, that is pretty nice. I don't love that it's a 1/4 for 3, so I'm sitting at a C, but we'll see how it plays out.
Isolation at Orthanc. 1 blue, 3 colorless. Instant, put target creature into its owner's library second from the top. It's a 4 mana, but it's a 4 mana tempo play, instant speed. But I don't like the fact that it's 4 mana. So I gave it a D.
I also gave it a D. I think it's very situational. It does bite that it's 4 mana. Like that it's an instant, but I don't know if this is one that makes the cut in very many of my decks.
Right. Ithilien, of course, whoever's out there like cringing at how I pronounce the Middle Earth stuff, feel free to correct me in the comments. But Ithilien Kingfisher, 1 blue, 2 colorless, creature bird. It's a 2/1 flying, and when this dies, draw a card. I liked it. I gave this a C plus, just because it's it's not a 2/2, but it's a 2/1, and it's got some value when it dies.
Yeah, I also gave it a C plus, and as I mentioned during the white set review, I think all flyers are going to be particularly valuable because I just haven't seen a lot of them in the set. So I think that evasion capability could really pay off, especially if you're able to put some counters on this thing down the road. The card draw is also pretty sweet, and I'll join you on the pronunciation. I think it might be Ithilien, but
Yeah, there we go.
we could both be wrong. We'll wait for the hardcore Tolkien fans to correct us.
Moving on, Knights of Dol Amroth, I believe that is. So that's 1 blue, 3 colorless creature human knight. I love knights, by the way, and it's a 3/3. And whenever you draw your second card each turn, put a 1/1 counter on the Knights of Dol Amroth. Excuse me. I gave it a C plus just because it's your second card each turn. It's not your opponent's turn. It's and since you're in blue, there's a good possibility you're going to be drawing a second card. And on top of that, it's 4 mana for a 3/3 that has some upside to it. So yeah, I gave it a C.
I gave it a C, but I'm with you on where you're coming from. I don't know how often you're going to be able to trigger the second card draw. I I mean, there's a few things that I've seen that can do that. Like, for example, the bird that we just have. If it dies, that would be another card draw, right? Um, but I don't know. I feel like that's a little situational. I didn't see a ton of cards that let me draw. I need to go back and take another look at that. But so to me, I was looking at it as more just a 4 mana 3/3, which is okay. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm loving the. I think yesterday we reviewed quite a few 2 mana draw cards stuff, and then of course we reviewed one earlier. But
Well, and here's one.
it,
Draw 3 cards.
this is true too. Moving on to Lorien revealed 2 pips of blue, 3 colorless, sorcery, draw 3 cards, and it's also got Island Cycle for 1. So yeah, I don't know. It's this for this particular card, I gave it a B minus because it's, even though it's 5 mana and sorcery speed, I'm getting 3 cards. I don't have to throw them away. I'm grabbing them, and if I can't, if I, it's also got island cycling on it, and I like being able to, pick whatever I need to do on my particular situations while playing Magic. So it gives me 2 options.
Yeah, it would definitely be tears down my face if I had to use this for island cycling, because there's so much
True.
potential value in this card. But man, it could happen, right? We've seen it, especially in 2 color and more decks. The shuffler sometimes gets angry and gives you all of 1 color. So yeah, that's nice. The draw 3 cards is awesome, right? So I actually am with you on the B minus. Might even be just a solid B. Drawing 3 cards late in the game can be a real momentum shift, right? And blue's all about momentum, so it's doing blue things. It's great.
Another draw card synergy here with Lost Isle Calling, 1 blue, 1 colorless enchantment, and whenever you scry, put a verse counter on Lost Isle Calling, and then you can pay 4 colorless and 2 pips of blue, and then it's exile Lost Isle Calling. Draw a card for each verse counter on Lost Isle Calling. If it has 7 or more verse counters on it, take an extra turn after this one. Activate only as a sorcery. I gave it an A minus because extra turns are great, draw cards are great, and it's got Scry synergy working with it. So because blue has a lot of Scry, so yeah, I see this popping off.
You've been looking at my scores, man, because we're just perfectly aligned today. I gave it an A minus also, right? I think it's a really great card. I think it could be crazy powerful. It just depends on how much scry you're able to load up in your deck. This reminds me of Alrund's Epiphany, which I think was banned, right? I mean, because of the extra turn that you could potentially take. So if you can get the verse counters on this and exile it to take the extra turn, whew, that's probably a game winner. So it's at least an A minus. It's a really cool card.
Moving on to Minelder Swift Savior. It's Minelder, yeah, or Minador.
I think I would say Minaldor.
Minaldor, yeah, probably Minaldor. There we go. Swift Savior, 1 blue, 3 colorless, legendary creature, bird soldier for 3/3 flying. And whenever this card deals combat damage to a player, exile up to 1 target creature you own. Then return it to the battlefield under your control. I gave it a solid B because it's flying, like you were kind of mentioning earlier. It's the evasion seems to be a steady win mechanic, I believe, and on top of it, if we're going to do damage, we get to exile, we get to blink some back onto our battle, which essentially may have some value.
Yeah, and first, from a flavor standpoint, A plus on this. Like you can just picture, right, a giant eagle coming and grabbing an ally and then dropping themselves, off somewhere else in the battlefield. Super cool. I gave it a B plus. I think it's very strong because, in fact, it made me go create an extra column in my extra detail sheet of ETBs, creature ETBs, just to see how much extra value you're probably going to get from being able to do that. But I think this is a super cool card, and B plus is my rating on it.
Nice. So, hmm. Nimrado, Watcher, 1 blue, 1 colorless, Creature Elf Scout, 2/1, and whenever we scry, this gets a +1/+0 until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn. This ability triggers only once each turn. I gave this a C+. Scry Synergy, unblockable, it becomes a 3/1.
C plus for me also. This is one that I also want to keep an eye on. I may be undervaluing it, especially in a deck where you can get a lot of scry, which is the blue thing. Because this, for 2 mana, you're pinging the opponent for 3 every turn, probably, or most turns, and or forcing them to use removal, which is still great value for you because you only spent 2 mana to cast this thing, right? It's a cool card, man. C plus for sure, at least.
And I'm totally going to butcher this next card. Pelagir Survivor, possibly. 1 blue, 1 colorless, creature human peasant. That's 1/3. It's got a tap symbol on it for add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast an instant or sorcery spell. It's also got a mana activated cost here for 5 colorless, 1 blue pip, and then you tap it, and that target player mills 3 cards. I mean, C plus is what I gave this. I had to scroll down.
Yeah, me too. Because a 2 mana 1/3 is a solid C by itself because it's a decent early game blocker, right? And then the upside of it, definitely at least a C plus. I think it's pretty cool.
So press the enemy, 2 blue pips, 2 colorless, instant, return target spell or non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. You may cast an instant or sorcery spell with equal or less a mana value from your hand without paying its mana cost. I gave it a B because it's tempo play, 4 mana, instant on top of that, and yeah, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell with equal or lesser mana cost from your hand without paying its mana cost. Yeah, I mean, so just being able to get more value on top of that, even better.
Yeah, I gave it a B. Wondering if it may not even turn out to be better than that. I think some of it's situational. Obviously, you need to have something in your hand that's worth casting to really get the value out of it. But this is a great card.
So Rangers of Illithin, is that what we're going with? Illithin?
I think it's Athelion.
Athelion? Yeah, there we go.
Athelion, yeah.
Athelion. Yeah, I like that. Rangers of Athelion. Actually rolls better off the tongue now. 2 blue pips, 2 colorless, creature human ranger. That's a 3/3 vigilance. And when it enters a battlefield, gain control of up to 1 target creature with lesser power for as long as you control the Rangers of Athelion. Then the ring tempts you. I really like this. I gave it a straight up B. I really like that card. It could even be a B plus, maybe. Yeah, B is where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I'm close to you. I gave it a B plus because just a 3/3 vigilance for 4 is pretty darn good. Being able to take something off the board, you look at it, it's got to have target creature with lesser power. Which if this just is a 3/3, so you're taking something with a 2 power or less off the board. But there's a lot of stuff that has activated abilities and other things that only have a 1 or 2 power on the creature. So you could really be depriving the opponent of some high value there. And then of course the ring temp synergy, yeah, it's strong, man. B plus for me.
Moving on to Saruman the White, 1 blue, 4 colorless, legendary creature, avatar wizard. It's a 4/4, and it also has Ward 2. And whenever you cast your second spell each turn, amass orcs 2. Let's see. I gave it. I actually gave this a B plus because it's 5 mana for a 4/4. That I don't know with I don't see it that hard casting our second spell each turn. Obviously, paying 5 mana and bringing this down, you may not be able to do it first turn, but thereafter, being able to amass orcs every time you cast it for me was pretty good. So
Yeah, I gave it a B. You may be right; it might be more in the B plus category, but I really want to see how the Amass Orcs mechanic works out in actual gameplay. This could just really run away with the game, like you're saying. Um, Once you get to that mid or late game, which is what Blue wants to do.
going on to Saruman's Trickery, 2 blue pips, 1 colorless, instant counter target spell. So here is our counter whatever we want, and Amass Orcs 1. So I gave this a C plus because even though it's 3 mana, it is counter. It's not just creature spells.
Yeah, I'm at a C. I could be talked into the C plus. I agree with you. It is 3 mana instead of 2, so that's a lot of mana you probably are holding up, right, as you go into the opponent's turn, most likely. Which is a very blue thing to do in Constructed. I will see how it plays out in Limited. It could be a great card, but I would draft it.
I would definitely draft this. I mean, being able to counter something, and if I don't even have an orc on the field, to summon a 1/1 orc, I love it. So
Yeah, you know what? I think you talked me into the C plus rating. I'm going to change mine on that. You're right.
going down to Scroll of Ildur. I forgot how they pronounce this in the movie. Isildur. Oh my gosh.
Isildur. Yeah.
I totally butchered that one. Isildur. Yes, I remember that now. Okay, so 1 blue, 2 colorless. Gain control. It's not like I haven't watched it 1,000 times and I'm still mispronouncing. Okay, so anyway, phase 1, gain control of up to, and this is a saga. I don't know if I mentioned that. Phase 1, gain control of up to 1 target artifact for as long as you control Scroll of Isildur. The ring tempts you. Phase 2, tap up to 2 target creatures, put a stun counter on each of them. And phase 3, draw a card for each tapped creature target opponent controls. I gave it a B plus. I like gaining control of up to 1 target artifact, sure. Because I even if you don't hit it with that, you're still able to tap down things with the stun counter and then draw cards for that. So hopefully you'll be drawing something for at least those 2 tap downs, if not a little bit more.
Yeah, this is a cool card, and it's only 3 mana. That's the other thing. Normally the sagas, I'm a little dubious of sometimes because they can be slow, right? But this is doing all the blue things that you'd want to do, and it's only 3 mana. And depending upon when you get it in the game, it could be a game winner. I gave it a B plus also, but I was waffling almost into the A minus category. I think it's incredible value for 3 mana. It's awesome.
Yeah, I B plus for me. Anytime we do these pluses and minuses, for me, like an A minus B plus is almost the same thing in my own head. So yeah, I see this definitely either being a game breaker or just a massive tempo shift. Because especially if the opponent's like, well, I don't care, I'm just gonna attack y'all in, and well, that's a lot of cards. So, but yeah, soothing. Excuse me. Soothing of Smeagol. 1 blue, 1 colorless, instant. Return target non-token creature to its owner's hand. The ring tempts you. I gave it a C. It's another tempo thing. It's not targeting anything that's tokens. Actually, yeah, because you would rather get rid of tokens. I'm going to change mine to a C minus.
I was at C minus for all the reasons you just said, so we're aligned on that one. May or may not end up playing that.
All right, Stern Scolding. 1 blue, instant, counter target creature spell with power or toughness 2 or less. Because it's 2 or less, I may even say this is a C minus. Yeah, I'm going to change mine to C minus.
I was starting out at a D on this one, but then I kind of reminded myself it's an instant, it's 1 mana, and it's not just toughness 2, but power 2. There's a lot of stuff that has a power of 1 or 2 and then a big booty.
Dang it! Now you increased my rating.
So you're going to be at a C also then on that one?
Yeah, you're right. You're right, because it is this or that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's not just the toughness 2, it's the power 2. There's a lot of stuff with wimpy power that has activated or triggered abilities on it that you probably want to counter. So if you're going to play counter magic in blue, which blue wants to do, then you might play this card.
Yeah, yeah. It's good art too.
Except he should be grabbing the other character by the ear, right?
Right?
Like he did with the hobbits.
So, Storm of Saruman, 2 blue pips for colorless enchantment, and it's got a ward 3. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, copy it, except the copy isn't legendary. You may choose new targets for the copy. I gave this an A minus. It might even be an A, solid A.
Yes. Also A minus for me. The only reason I didn't give it an A is because I'm just thinking about what it takes. There's a fair amount of mana that you've got to build up to play this, right? And then it's definitely a late game card. And it's also one of those, if you draw it early, it's just going to sit there and take up space in your hand. But it's a great card. I ward 3 on it. It makes it hard to remove. It could be one of those that the game just runs away with. But I'm with you on the A minus.
Surrounded by orcs, 1 blue, 3 colorless sorcery, amass orcs 3. Then target player mills X cards, where X is the amassed army's power. I gave it a C.
I also am at C. Situationally, it could be better. If you're trying to mill yourself because you got a lot of graveyard recursion, you're teamed up with some other colors that help you with that. This gets pretty interesting. Depending upon what you've got going on with your amass synergies, if you've got something that, let's say, is sitting at 6 and then you add 3 more counters to it, right? Now it's a 9, and now you're milling, let's say you mill your opponent for 9, that's significant, right? It starts to add up. So it's a C, but situationally, I think it could be better.
I agree. Treason of Isengard, that is 1 blue, 2 colorless sorcery. Put up to 1 target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. And you can amass orcs too. I gave it a let's see, where's my treason? C+.
I'm also at C+. Here's one of those that's even in blue trying to help me with a little bit of graveyard recursion, right? I can go dig around for a specific spell, put it on top of the library. It's pretty nice. Plus the amass capability. Yeah, it's a little better than a standard C. I'd probably play it if I drafted it.
The Watcher in the Water. 2 blue, 3 colorless. And I sigh at this because at first I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks freaking awesome. Until you read it. It's a legendary creature, Kraken. 9/9. The Watcher in the Water enters the battlefield tapped with 9 stun counters on it. Whenever you draw a card during an opponent's turn, keyword opponent's turn here, create a 1/1 blue tentacle creature token. Whenever a tentacle you control dies, untap up to 1 target Kraken and put a stun counter on up to 1 target non-land permanent. So the bottom part sounds great, and the middle part sounds, well, not so great, because we don't really have a lot of things that allow us to draw cards during an opponent's turn, especially with 9 tentacles. So I actually gave this an F. For this set.
It may be one of those that's unplayable. You're right. I gave it a D. But think about this, all right? So we had talked about the card just a bit ago, Eoreth, which allows me to untap another target permanent or untap two other target legendary creatures. So this comes in tapped with a stun counter on it, but if I happen to be able to pair it, if I already had Eoreth in my of the Healing House in my hand, then now it becomes playable, right? Because I could untap it and at least have it sitting there as a really, really annoying blocker, right? And well, and frankly, I could start attacking with it even, right? If Eoreth can stay on board and untap it again.
For
Um,
9 rounds, yes. Or well, not 9 rounds. It actually half that. Yeah.
well, no, I don't think I even have to do that. So this comes in with stun counters on it, which means like it's just every turn a stun counter comes off and it stays tapped. But if I've got
Right.
Eoreth, I can just untap it right away.
That's what I was saying. Well, no, actually, you still can't. Because if a permanent with a stun counter would become untapped, you still only remove the
Oh,
stun
you're
counter.
right. You're right. So it's just going to be taking stun counters off of it. So you might be right. I might be optimistic with my D. It makes me sad. The flavor on this is incredible. I remember that scene, from the
Yes.
movie. So it's so cool. Somebody's going to figure out a way to do something with this. There was also that card that we saw earlier that can take counters off of another card and put them onto itself.
Interesting.
Um, so that might be another avenue to try to peel these things off faster. And then I guess the other question is how often can you play cards that draw a card during the opponent's turn? But being able to pump out a 1/1 tentacle creature blocker, during the opponent's turn is by itself annoying. I don't know, man. Some brainiac is going to figure out the meme stream on this,
No,
and they're going to make it work one time, and like
yeah,
meme achievement unlocked, right?
like auto concede respect.
Like, man, I would love to lose to that. That's just too cool. But yeah, you're probably right. It's probably unplayable.
Well,
Um, I
after
would
you,
draft it for just for the mythic card progress, probably. But I don't. Yeah, unless I've got a hell of a build around, it probably doesn't work. You'd have to have a lot of card draw, I think. And you're right. Having to draw during the opponent's turn is really a problem. I need to go study the cards to see what I'd have to get to even make that possible.
well, I mean there is some cards that allow you to draw during the opponent's turn, which is nice and all, but it just wasn't like I don't know. And then of course that one card that you mentioned where you remove all the counters, the Goldberry card. I'm gonna change this from an F to a D. I mean, if you have Goldberry and this pops in your pick, I would I'd be crazy enough to draft it.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing. Like, I'm just looking through the blue here real quick again that we've already gone through. So, Born Upon a Wind, that's a 2 mana instant that gives you a card draw. Council's Deliberation is a 2 mana instant with a card draw. And that's also one where if you then scry after it, so if you have an instant that does a scry and it's in your graveyard, you can exile it, get another card draw. But let me see.
And D again, folks, is just one of those cards that maybe it's generally poor, but it's good situationally. And so, yeah, if you got something that you can turn the Watcher in the water around, then obviously it has value.
Yeah, here's the other one we just talked about, Hithlane Knots. That's a 2 mana instant that has card draw.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
so there's
yeah.
some cards that allow you to, yeah.
And those are the instants that I'm seeing in blue, and I think there's one or two in some other colors. But okay, so yeah, maybe if you've drawn some of those before you get to this, or if you draft this hoping you'll get to those and you can pull some of those in, maybe yeah, it's a D. It would be a really fun D to play though.
Yeah,
I want to make it work one time.
it's a fun card. It looks awesome, but I'm not gonna first pick it if I don't have the cards to back it up.
Yeah, agreed.
So Wind is 1 blue, 4 colorless creature elemental, 3/4 flying, and when this enters the battlefield, scry 2. I gave it a C plus, but since we were talking about flyers and all, and it scries 2, I'm actually going to change mine to a B minus.
I'm at a straight B, but I'm with you. I get it on your B minus. I think we'll see how flyers work out. But 3/4 is a nice creature because it's got a decent sized booty for a flyer. You know, it's going to block a lot of other flyers real well, which is one of the other reasons I was kind of valuing it higher. And then of course blue's the scry color, so it's good, man. Solid card. Love to draft it.